Hi, do you have a lot of boxed card sets sitting around your craft room and you're wondering, what can I do with these? If you're like me, you do. I've figured out a fun way to use these boxed cards and use them up from our stash. Let's make an interactive mini album using our favorite cinch machine and some other favorite We R tools. Let's get started. Okay, let's start with our covers. So using your favorite card from your boxed card, you'll need two of these. I'm going to show you one. All I did to make my cover is I wanted it a little bit more sturdy than this card gives on its own. So I cut two pieces of heavyweight cardstock. This is 100-pound cardstock, and put some double-sided tape on it. You could do one piece if you prefer. This is how I like to do my double-sided tape, on a glass mat with an X-Acto knife. Okay, now we're just going to stack these pieces of heavyweight cardstock. This is the second one. I already have my double-sided tape on. Okay. Now all we do is open up our card and place these inside, stacking them one on top of the other. Now, if I like my covers pretty sturdy, that's why I do 2 layers of cardstock. But if you are fine with one, you could do one. And I just cut this cardstock down to just shy of the size of the card. So the card itself is 5.5 by 4.25 when it's closed. So those are just slightly smaller than that. All right, now we have this super sturdy cover for our book. Then you just repeat that process so that you have a front and a back cover. And they're ready to go. Just set those aside for now. The first page that we'll make for our mini album is going to be a top pocket page. Now, the first thing that I need to tell you is that all of these pages, with the exception of one, which I'll show you when I get to it, you're going to orient your card so that the open side is on the left and the fold is on the right. Opposite the way you would normally open a card, right? You would normally read a card that way. We're going to turn them around this way because when we cinch our binding right along this side, that's going to seal up that side. So we already have a built-in edge on this fold right here on all of our cards. So this first pocket page is so easy. All we are going to do is put our opening on the left, open up our card, and use a little bit of adhesive. I like using double-sided tape in mini albums. It's my favorite one to go to. I feel like it's just super sturdy and holds up really well. My book holds up longer. And I just put a small strip of it across the very bottom edge of this card on one side. Then you just go ahead and close it. All right, so now I have this going on, right? So it's like a half pocket. But once our cinch seals that side, you can see it's going to be a perfect little pocket. I like to indicate in my mini albums so that people know that this is actually a pocket, not just a solid page, by adding a little half notch punch at the top. So I use just a circle punch, whatever size you like. This one's a 1.5 inch. I use between a 1 inch up to a 2 inch. And they all look great. So all I do is flip my punch over to this side, and then I always eyeball it. You could always measure and mark exactly at the center if you wanted to. I've done this enough times that I can kind of just get it close enough, and I realize once my album is full that you're not going to tell if it's exactly perfect. And then I use this little symbol right here in the inside to indicate, I just watch for the bottom of that circle to line it up so it's the same every time. That's just a little tip on how to do a notch with a circle punch. Okay, and then I just squeeze it to punch. Okay, so now we have our notched pocket, and we'll be able to fill that up with tags, photos, hidden journaling once we get to our assembly phase of the mini album. So there's page 1. Our second page that we'll be making, I wanted to do some interactive features. using the envelopes that are also included in the boxed card sets. So we'll have a bunch of these once we make all our pages, and I thought let's incorporate those into our album. So for this page, this interactive flip envelope page, you will need 2 card bases, one that you want to be the base of your page and one that you want to decorate your envelope with. So I'm going to set those aside for now and jump right into what we're going to do to alter this envelope. All right, first thing, we're just going to fold it in half. So I like to open my flap and fold this exactly in half. All right, so I've just got this envelope folded in half. Now on this spot, the center line here, where our folding line is, I want to separate this into 2 little top flaps. So to do that, you just cut at an angle from the top of the envelope down to that first score line. So you can see I stopped there at the fold. And when you open it up, now you have 2 flaps to your envelope that have the same shape of an angle right here. Because I did it with it folded, that's what gives you that shape that is the same on both pieces. Okay, now this is cute, but I want to make it even more cute. These envelopes that come in the box cards are white. So let's add some color to these flaps right here. So I chose a card from the card set that I liked the pattern on the color of it. And that I'm just going to open up. We're going to use this like it's a pattern paper. Okay, so I'm just going to grab some adhesive and put the adhesive right here on my flap, just around the outside edges of both flaps. Okay, then you can pick this spot. Like if you want them to be different, this card is cool because it has a different pattern on the front versus the back. So I could get a little bit of blue, right? But we're going to do it from the back side so the color shows up on the front. This one I'm just going to do right here along this edge. And make sure and watch where your seam is in your card. You can put that seam right between, or you could do one here and one here, wherever you want. Okay, now I just need to take my scissors again and trim around this so the shape matches. So I'm just cutting away that extra card. And then cutting along these lines again where we made our separate top flaps. Okay, so now you can see that my envelope has 2 different flap pattern papers that were just made from one of those extra cards in the pack. This I will save and use more of it later. Okay, so now we have our little interactive envelope piece, and what I want to do with this is wrap it around the outside edge. So you'll have a pocket on one side of your page, a pocket on the other side of your page, but then these will also stay free. So you could open this and decorate the inside of this or have journaling or whatever you wanted on the inside of it as well. So I'm going to grab my base card that I've chosen. Again, my opening of my card is on the left and the fold is on the right, so that when we cinch it, it will all be held into another top pocket. We're going to get all kinds of interactive features out of this one page. So open that up. And open up your folded and prepped envelope, and you'll line up the 2 so that the score lines are matching. And I just center mine, so just eyeball again about the distance you want. If you like yours at the bottom, do it at the bottom. If you like it at the top, it's up to you. I just am centering mine to show you how to do it. Okay, we're going to use another one of my very favorite We R tools, and that's the bookbinding tool. So this helps me to precisely pierce holes for some stitching. I'm going to stitch this right along this side so that I can keep these pages free as well. You'll see what I mean in just a minute. So once I have those stacked and lined up, I'm going to place it into the bookbinding tool, put the top guide on, and the 2 little nuts to hold it in place. And then you can see on here that the holes are lining up perfectly with the top and bottom of my envelope, these 2 holes. So I am going to start there and just punch in every other hole. So there's a hole here that I'm going to skip, then I'm going to punch here, skip, punch, skip, all the way down. You don't need a lot of holes for stitching this onto your page, but it's really up to you. I just wanted it to be quick stitching. So I'm going to go ahead and do every other hole all the way down the length just of the envelope. So now I have these pierced holes that just go along the fold of my envelope flat page, and they are also all the way through my card base from top to bottom. Now we have our holes all pierced and we're ready to stitch. You can use any thread or floss that you like. I'm going to use this heavyweight black thread, and I've just tied a knot in one end and threaded it through a regular sewing needle. Now I'm just going to start on the inside of my card base, and I'm going to move the needle and thread from the inside of the card to the outside, and then back into this first hole. So this is just a simple stitch that will take all the way up. Just up and down through each hole. If you wanted to do more stitching than this, you could come back and go in between here and stitch so you have no gaps in your thread. I am fine and like the look of this. I used a high contrast thread. You could use, if you wanted it to be more subtle, you could use a thread of the same color, like use a white thread or embroidery floss. Okay, and on our last stitch, I'm just going to pull it taut, which means tight but not so hard that it tears the paper. And in this last hole. And then on the inside, we'll just tie a quick knot again using this first loop here to secure the end of our thread. I just do a double knot so it holds. Just trim off the excess. And that's it, simple stitching. So now we have our base of our page. We've got these two pockets right here where we can put things in. They also open up this way on both sides. And then the last step we need to do is seal up this base page so that we can have a top pocket. So just like we did the last one, I'm going to move these out of the way. We're going to run some double-sided tape right down the bottom. Make sure you're on the bottom of your card. And just close the card to seal that bottom edge. And again, I like to indicate that it's a pocket by doing that top punch, that notch, a thumb notch. So we're going to do it the same way. And I just look for that same marking in my punch to get it pretty close to the other one. Again, once this mini album is full, you won't really see any slight variances in the notch placement. All right, there's our envelope top pocket. We'll have a top pocket envelope flip page as page 2. And it's ready to go into our book. For our next page, we are going to make a secret flip page. And this will make more sense once we start cinching our mini album together. For now, all we need to do is trim this down a little bit. In mini albums, I like having pages that are a different variety of sizes. If you want to use it full like this, you could do a full size flip page and do this exact same thing without cutting it down. I'm going to show you how to cut it down so that you can have a little bit smaller secret flip page. All we're going to do is, leaving the fold of the card intact, we're going to trim 1 inch off the open side and one of the ends. Okay, so we're going to make it, it's a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 card. We're going to take it down so that it's 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. So I just cut 1 inch off of each side. Now this will be my secret flip page, and I'll bind it here and I'll show you a trick so that you can open it inside of your mini album. That's all we have to do for this one. It's super easy for now, and we'll come back to this one later when we're cinching. For our next page, I wanted to do another idea that uses an envelope, but rather than use an envelope that comes in the boxed cards, I thought we could make our own with another favorite We R tool, the mini envelope punch board. All right, we're going to start with a base page that's the same as we've already done, so this will be super, super easy. we're going to just go ahead and open it up, put our double-sided tape, close it, and notch the top. This top pocket makes a really nice base layer when you want to add other interactive elements, because it already has that one feature with the top pocket that makes it interactive already, but it also makes a great base page. Okay, go ahead and punch this again. My notch. And then we have our base page ready to go. I'm just going to set that aside for now. Okay, for our mini envelope, we're going to use our mini envelope punch board. I am going to choose a size of envelope that allows me to have a piece of paper that's smaller than 4 1/4, since I have this fold here and I don't want that fold to show up on my mini envelope. So when I look here, I can see that a 2 by 3 envelope, I need to cut my paper to 4 1/8 by 4 1/8, which is just the perfect size to work with these boxed cards as a patterned paper. Okay, so let's cut our card down. You can choose any card you like to 4 1/8 by 4 1/8. And I'll just set that aside there. We'll use that scrap in another place. And then we'll just construct our little mini envelope using this mini envelope punch board. Okay, on here as well, it tells us that our first alignment needs to be at 2 3/8 inch. And that is using this ruler guide right up here. So I'm going to take the left edge, this is a square, so it doesn't matter which side you choose, and take it over to the 2 3/8 mark. Then our little cute scoring stylus is here in the side of the tool. We'll pull that out. And all we're going to do is go ahead and score on this score line. So we'll score it there and punch this one time. The first time you punch and score is the only time that you'll use this ruler guide up here to align your paper to. From now on, when you turn your page to continue scoring, you're going to line up the score you previously made to this little marking, the edge of this punch right here. And that will allow you to evenly space your score lines. Okay, I used a really busy pattern paper, so it's going to be hard to see. If that's hard for you, here's a tip. Fold that score so that it's a little bit more obvious, and then you can line it up perfectly to your marker there. So this, first punch only. After that, disregard those numbers and start using this guide. Then we'll do the same thing. We'll just score along this line and punch it once. Now I have this score line that I'm going to rotate it to. I'm going to pre-fold it again, just because this paper's busy and that helps me see where my line needs to go. Score and punch. One more time till we have our little envelope. Okay, so now we have the base of our little envelope. If you want rounded corners, there's the back side of this punch is how you do that. So you just put it in the back and punch, and it will round the corner of each flap. All right, we're all done with this punch board. Now we just need to fold and assemble our envelope. You can see this is making a cute little heart envelope. Okay, so now we just need a little bit of adhesive here and here. I'm just going to go ahead and do it on the flap side. Fold that end up. And then it's up to you if you like this little piece poking out or not. If you like it, just leave it there. Your envelope is done. If you wanted to, you can also fold that in by just squeezing the sides of the envelope slightly and folding that little flap in so that it's got that more traditional squared off look to an envelope. All right, now our envelope's ready. Now it's time to add it to our base page. So what I was thinking is it would be fun to have a little envelope that again could flip out like we did with our last envelope flip page. But we're going to need to make ourselves a little hinge this time. So find a scrap. So this is just a scrap that we cut off before off of another card when we were making another page. And I'm going to make it the same height as this envelope here. You could measure and use your trimmer, but I just like doing things the quick and easy way. So I'm doing this the quick and easy way. Then you're just going to fold this in half lengthwise, half-ish. Okay, so now I've got this folded little piece of paper. This is going to become our hinge. And actually, I want to fold it on this side, so I'm going to trim that off. You could do a hinge this way if you want your envelope to go sideways like this. I think I want mine to go this way though with my envelope upright. So I'm going to trim a little bit more off of this hinge. Okay, now we need our handy double-sided tape. Since this is an interactive part of the album and it's going to get a lot of movement, I like using a strong adhesive. So I'm going to use double-sided tape and just put it on both sides. Basically, it's the entire back of the hinge when it's open. Okay. Go ahead and remove the liner. Okay, now I could use the hinge right here just like it is, but I'm going to make one little adjustment, and I want to taper the edges so that the squared off part doesn't peek out from behind my envelope. So I'm just going to hold it with the open side away from me and trim the ends off just slightly. And I'll open it up so you can see a little bit better. So see how now I have those angled edges? I just folded it in half, trimmed those edges, and now I have those little tapered edges. Then I'm going to put half of it on the back of my envelope. So I've got half of my hinge there. And then this second half of the hinge that has adhesive on it is going to go ahead and adhere to our base page. You can place it anywhere you want to on there. I like mine right against the edge, and I would avoid this edge since that's where we're going to be cinching. So keep that in mind. All right, now we have our little hinged envelope flap with a top pocket. We'll set that aside and move on to the next page. All right, for our next page, let's make another hidden journaling area. This time we're going to do a file folder page. I, again, like to vary the sizes of my page bases in my mini album, so I'm going to trim this down slightly. I'm just going to trim, I want to keep my fold again intact. So on the open side of the card, I'm going to trim off 1 inch, just off this one long side. So I'm going to get it down to 3 1/4. Really, you can do whatever you prefer. Maybe I'll do it a little wider, 3 1/2. Okay, so this piece you can save. We can use that for hinges and other things. Now we're ready to assemble this file folder, and it's super easy. So we're going to open up our card base and fold up the bottom however deep you want your file pocket to be. So this is where you're going to have a little pocket. I like mine about 1 1/2 inches, but again, I never measure. I just kind of eyeball it, get it to where I want it. Okay, so now we have a little file folder, but it's a little bulky in the middle there. So we're going to use that same trick that we used on our envelope flip page. And we're going to fold this open again and snip with our scissors just from the top down to that first fold line that we made on that center line. That will reduce the bulk on the inside. So you'll see it looks just like a file folder. That's why they do that, so that it can close easier. It doesn't have as much bulk there on that fold. Now we just need to double side tape the 2 sides here to close up our pockets. A little bit of tape on the outside edges of each one. Got that a little long. Fold those up to the inside. Now again, this will go into our book with this side in the cinching coil, and then I'll show you the trick so that it allows you to open that up and reveal that hidden pocket on the inside. All right, that's it for that one. Let's set it aside and move on. For our last page type, you need one more card, and this is the page base that breaks the rule. So this is the only type that I've designed for this album where the fold is on the left and the opening is on the right, just like you would normally open a regular card. So this is the one. We're here. And this is super simple. We've been making a lot of top pocket base pages. This one is going to be a side pocket base page. Same concept, but we just need to put a little bit of double-sided tape at the top and bottom, and then do our notch on the side instead of the top. Super easy. Same concept, just a different angle to vary the pocket types. Go ahead and close the card. So now we have sealed our top and bottom. So we have this side pocket here. And we just need to indicate that that's a pocket, not just a regular page. So again, I'm just going to take my punch, eyeball the middle, and punch out that notch. These notches indicate that there's a pocket there so that someone who's looking through your book can find what's inside there, and also makes it easier to pull out whatever is inside there. And that's it, our side pocket. All right, it's time to assemble our mini book. So these are the pockets we just made together, the pages for our album. And in addition to those, I also went ahead and made more. So this one, I just made a second set using different cards. So there's that top pocket, the flip, a little hidden journaling card, another top pocket. This time I put the envelope on the back side that flips out. So you can see that you can use whatever types of pages you want. I liked having about 12 pages in my mini album, so that's 12 pages right there. Okay, and then we also have our two covers that we made. And how I am going to do my covers is that opening side, I'm going to put, like all the rest except for the side pocket, toward the side that I'm going to cinch, so that the folded side is the nice edge that's going to be out on the front edge of my mini album. Okay, so we've got all of our pages. You can put them in order however you like them. I usually like to flip through and just make sure I like how the colors are landing together, that I have all of the pieces where I want them, and I'm liking how it's looking together. Okay. We can get a little more fiddly with where we're punching as we cinch, which it's now time to bring in our cinch machine, and it's time to punch our pages. All right, so on this cinch machine, we're going to leave this tab pushed all the way in. This book is small enough that we don't need to extend it and shift over. So we're just going to do one punch per page. And then we're going to pull out peg 11. And then there's another time when we're going to pull out another peg, and I'll show you that when we get to that point. But for right now, we're just going to have all the pegs pushed in, except peg 11 is going to be pulled out, just like that. Okay, we're ready to punch all of our covers and our pages. We want to make sure that we have the page that we want our binding on to be in the cinch machine. So we'll just slide this in. And with peg 11 pulled, you can see that that's where it's going to prevent a partial punch from hanging off the end of my album. So that's why I disengaged that punch right there. You don't have to worry about pulling the ones after it because it doesn't reach that far. So if that one goes down, it's not going to punch a half punch. All right, let's go ahead and punch our covers. You want to make sure that your cover is all the way in the back of the machine. You can see there, we have our nice punch. And what I usually do is I start with my pile on one side, punch it, and then move it face down onto this side. That's just how I like to work. You can do a few of these pages at a time. So here I have multiple stacked. Multiple punched there. And I'll just lay those down. This way it keeps my pages in the order that I wanted them for my album. Next is our little hidden flip page where we can have some hidden journaling or photos inside of there. And this one we're going to pull an extra peg. Remember, we cut this down so it's not the full size as before. So if I put this in my machine, you can see that I have a different peg I need to pull so that I don't end up getting a half punch on the top of this one. So I'm going to go ahead and pull peg 9 just to punch this little guy. And now you can see I don't have any half punches on the ends of that one, and it's ready to go. One more step that we have on these little hidden journaling pages is to make them so that they can open inside the cinch. And I'm just going to show you how I do that right here. All right, so I've got my card open. I want one set of holes to stay intact because I want that to anchor my page into my mini album. But on this side, I want to create some little gaps here along the edge of these holes so that this page can come in and out of the coil. And I'll show you that once we have it in our book, it'll make a lot more sense. But basically, all I'm doing is taking a pair of scissors and snipping. So you can see there's a little break in between from the outer edge just to the inside of the center of each one of these holes that I just punched. I'm going to go all the way down. And then I have this side that is loose. You can see how those can move. So that this page can slip in and out of the coil while this side will anchor it into my book. This will make even more sense once we bind our book together. All right, I have different size pages here again, so I'm going to punch this one first, push peg 9 back in. So this one needs peg 11 pulled. Punch that one. This one is also smaller. This one is one of our little hidden file folder punches. So this one I'm going to go ahead and put in and see which peg needs to be pulled. You can see here that I'm going to get a half punch right there, which is peg 8. So I go ahead and pull that. And now I've got my holes this way. Now again, this is my hidden page. So choose which side you want. Do you want them to always open to the right? Do you want to be able to flip the page and have it open out this way? Let's do that on this one. So again, I'm going to take my scissors and snip the side. So one side is going to anchor it in the book. The other side is going to be able to flip. So I'm going to go ahead and snip each hole again so that those are loose and that half of my page can be pulled out of the cinch machine, out of the cinch coil. Okay, a few more pages. Let's keep on going. Push peg 8 back in. Make sure you just have 11 pulled on those full-size cards. Here's another little partial one. So I'm going to pull peg 9 again. Choose a side to snip. And if you didn't want multiple hidden flip pages, you could always take a cut down piece that's small like this and double side tape the bottom and make it into a top pocket, or do it this way and do the same on a side pocket. You can cut the cards down so that you have a variety of sizes and types of pages. Here's our second little file folder that I made. That one I'm going to also snip so that it can open. Last page and back cover. All right. Now we've got all of our pages punched and they're ready to bind. What I like to do is turn my whole machine to this side right here. And this is a little spot where we can hold, that holds our coil for us to make it easier for us to load our pages on. Scoot this up. Now that we have our cinch turned this direction, we can take our coil and place it on these little holders here on the side that will hold it and help make it easier for us to load. And you want to load it with the white, see how there's a wider side to the coil there and then a narrower one? You want the wider ones on the machine, on these little hooks. grabs it right on like that. So then these smaller ones are where we're going to load our pages. Now here's a tip so that you can have perfect binding on your cinch and not have the seam where this coil comes together showing on the outside of your book. This is the easiest thing to do, but it's the thing that tricks people up the most. And that is to take your back cover, flip it around, and place it face down on the top cover. Okay? So now I've got my back cover face down on my top cover, and then my pages all in order moving down from there. Okay? And that's how we're going to load it onto our coil. Because I have different size pages in here, I'm going to load them one page at a time, just so that I can place these little guys where I want them on the coil. Okay. Sometimes I want them higher, sometimes I want them lower. Till we have all of our pages loaded onto our coil. Then our two covers. So front cover, these are the same exact card, so that makes it a little harder for you to see, but that's my front cover, and this is the outside of my back cover. Okay, so I've got pages and two covers on the top. All right, now we can see how many coils that took, and we can use our wire cutters to just cut this larger loop at the back here at the end of our coil. Save this part of the coil for another project. And we have everything on our coil ready to cinch. So we're going to turn our cinch machine one more time. And we're going to rotate it so that this part of the machine is facing you. This is where we're going to clamp our coil together. So we need to make sure that it's set to the right size of coil that we're using. So these little dots right here have all the different coil sizes that are compatible with the cinch machine. And we're using a 1-inch coil, so I just have my machine set to 1 inch, but I'll show you how it adjusts. So you can see it's moving this bar up and down. I'm going to get it right up to 1. I like to do it 1 click lower than the coil because I like mine tightly shut. So now it's time to place our coil in the back of the machine here, and then just push that same handle away from us, and it will push down and it will close up our book. So one trick to this is these two sides of coil here that has the gap between, always make sure that both sides of the coil are flush with the back of the machine. So when I place mine in, I try to get it all the way in flush. Then it's ready to go. And this one is nice because it fits right in this bar. We just have to do it one time. And then you just hold this handle and push it away from you to close up that coil. So now you have the seam where it has come together right there. Now to hide the seam, I just turn my coil so that it's toward the back of my book. Flip my pages around and you move that back cover back to the back. Then when you're looking at your book, you don't see any seam where the coil came together because it's hidden away right here at the back page of your album. So that's how you hide that seam on your coil binding. Now the fun part starts. Now it's time to decorate. Here's our little finished mini album. All I did to decorate the cover was find a bunch of things that I liked, a cute little 2x3 photo, added it in a frame, added a little bit of this sewing thread that we used to sew our envelope on just as a little bit of an embellishment. So my cover I kept pretty plain, just added a little photo on the front, and then I wanted to decorate this page together and then kind of flip through and look at all of the little spots where you can utilize all of the interactive features. My favorite size photo to use in mini albums are about, I think this one's about 2¼ by 3½. And I just love these little photos, and you can really tuck them anywhere and use a collection of different fun elements, like find all your different little elements that match your color scheme, right? And this, again, we left some room in our spine, so I can use these chunkier things, these heavier, thicker chipboard, and it doesn't bulk up my album too much. It just works with this. Maybe I want a little journaling card in there tucked behind where I can write about this trip to Disneyland with my granddaughter. You can also utilize this side. So if you have more photos, you could tuck them in here, make a little pocket on this side underneath that string. Nice fun way to add some more in. You could always adhere them there, but they also should stay in there pretty well on their own. In this first top loading pocket, I added a big tag. This was just a scrap of paper that I just trimmed off the sides. And this you can also put some photos on. There's some fun photos. So they're hiding inside of there. And then maybe on the back side, you do some journaling and add some fun stickers and different things like that and tuck it inside of your pockets. Then as someone's looking through, if you're looking through it, if your kids or your grandkids are looking through it, they can find all of those fun hidden features. More places where you can hide things are in our little envelope flips that we made. So little tags fit inside there, small little pieces of ephemera fit in there really nicely. You can open this up, and I just used another piece of a card and I slid it just a little bit. This is that card that we used before for this part. I just cut a little slit in it and made another little pocket on the inside of my envelope. So you can do all kinds of fun things with these box cards. Then you can decorate here as well. You also have this top pocket. A fun thing to do is to take ephemera pieces. These ephemera and journaling cards fit in here really nicely. Sometimes I like to add a little bit of a tab to the top so that it makes sense to pull it out. So I just adhere that to one side, fold it over, and then tuck that into the pocket. So you can see it's kind of cute when things stick out the top of the mini album. So you can get a little hint that you know there's some stuff hiding in there. This is our little hidden journaling spot, our hidden flip page. And you can see that because we snipped that one side, we can open this up and reveal some hidden little photos. This is a spot where you can really journal, write things that are really personal inside here, because nobody's going to know that's in there but you, unless they look closely. So that just simply, you just push them back through the hole between each coil and it closes it right back up. You can decorate both sides of that. You can put fun things inside of the little envelope pockets. You can even leave your envelope open and have things poking out like that. Other journaling cards, you can add photos to those. The little file folder pocket opens up this way. You can tuck multiple pictures. This is a little trick. I like adding these little file folder interactive pages because I can put, up to 3 or 4 photos in each pocket. So as my granddaughters and daughters are looking through, they can flip through that, and then it just closes back up the same way, poking those back through. Your little side pocket, you can insert all kinds of things in there. Really large sentiments are fun to go inside of there and pull it out, and also have some larger photos. If you wanted to use larger ones, you could use up to, that fit inside of this card size. Such fun things that you can do. And then here's the rest of our book, ready to be filled with memories and happiness. And there's our finished mini album. Let's get those box cards out of the box and into your memory keeping and projects. I hope you had fun today. Get crafting.